Springfield's Pure Classic Rock, 104.7 The K. Mike, the intern, in the studio once again with Jay Stevens. It's Thursday and time for another edition of Dark Side of the Stream.
Your initial commentary, you look like you were like a Sasquatch podcast.
Really?
Like you had breaking info that you had found
Breaking.
the Squatch. Yeah, you
Actually,
did.
you know,
That hat, that orange hat, and your
red.
beard, you look like you're down with the Squatch, bro.
Well, thanks. It's red, a really
I'm not
bright
sure
red.
it's a compliment,
But thanks. Appreciate it. Tried to match today.
the Iron Maiden shirt's good though.
I appreciate it. You know, Jay just wears one color, and that's black, top to bottom. Black shirt, black pants, black shoes.
I'd love to wear a rainbow every day,
But he can't.
You know how it is.
So today, Dark Side of the Stream, we're discussing the documentary I picked called The Orange Years.
Oh, is that why you're wearing orange? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's red. It looks orange in the
red,
video.
orange.
We'll go with that.
and
Mike dressed accordingly.
The Orange Years is a documentary on Hulu, which tells the story of Nickelodeon, which after Nickelodeon. After PBS got done raising me with Sesame Street, I moved on to Nickelodeon as a little bit older child, and it was really cool to go through reliving some of the shows that I grew up watching, like, you know, Hey Dude, and You Can't Do That on Television, and
Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah,
I mean, come
oh my
on,
God,
man.
dude.
That was as an adult.
yeah,
Ren and Stimpy was legit.
It was an incredible story. One thing that jumped out to me early on was I had no idea so many women were actually behind the creation of Nickelodeon. I'm actually like a doctor, and it started with that. What'd you think about that cable service where, I guess it was late 70s,
you push the buttons?
box and you
I've
could
never
interact?
seen that either. Yeah,
Like they had like a star search. I mean, this was like early proto. Like you look at, you know, American Idol now, and everyone's texting in their favorite.
Right.
To
This
vote.
was how it was back then.
Like,
you could vote.
Late 70s
Wow,
too. This
crazy.
wasn't like in the 80s or anything. This was the late 70s, and I guess it was Columbus, Ohio, or Cleveland, or something like that.
Yeah,
it was in Ohio. You get this box, and you could pick your channel, and then you could like interact. And there was one called Pinwheel on it, which was the early version of what Nickelodeon would become. And up next, Dark Side of the Stream, we're going to get Jay's memories of Nickelodeon.
Ooh,
if he can remember.
Mine are foggy from yesterday.
Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The K. .7 The Cave is Springfield's Pure Classic Rock. Mike, the intern, back in the studio once again with Jay Stevens. This is Dark Side of the Stream, and today we're discussing the documentary The Orange Years, which tells the heyday of Nickelodeon. Now, it's interesting because you definitely can see, at least from my perspective, being a child of the 80s, how much Nickelodeon had an impact on us and how much MTV had an impact on us. Early on, when you were a kid, Nickelodeon was what you watched, and then as you got older, it would move to MTV. And I think they kind of mirrored each other. But
very similar.
Up until this point, there wasn't a channel that was specifically devoted to children's programming.
I thought it was great too that I didn't know that it went back so far in time.
To 79?
Incredible. But that they were catering to children, and they stuck to the script of catering to children, like turning down money deals and stuff, because no, they weren't going to do that. They weren't going to poison kids' brains with advertising. They were going to stick to kids' programming. And the weirder, the better. And everybody was cool with that.
On your point, there was early on in the documentary, a woman who was part of the launch of it said, you know, kids can smell a phony a mile away.
Yeah.
So they had to do things in their writing to kind of sell it to kids that this is a legitimate. There was always a great skit in Mr. Show about like a bunch of older people trying to pretend like they're teenagers and have like a teen talk show and how phony it is. Yeah. And that's how way it comes across. Even now as adults, we can see it.
That's the way. I mean, that's the way SportsCenter comes across now.
Yeah.
Nonsense.
It's completely phony baloney, and that they're not the only ones. But yeah, at the time when people were actually legitimate, Nickelodeon was one hell of a monster, and it had so many different things in there. There was a lot of different things that came up, but while I was watching it, I started like kind of looking into some of the unknown facts. And I guess when they had Ghostbusters, like when you think of Nickelodeon, it's synonymous with the slime, right?
Yeah.
And in 84, Ghostbuster came out and Slimer was green and would slime them green.
Hey,
and so
that's right. Wait a minute here.
They actually sued Nickelodeon because of the green slime thing. But then the guy who was part of Nickelodeon said, the hell are you talking about? I've been doing this since 79. I guess you stole the idea from us.
Oh, countersuit.
Lawsuit was dropped. What were your experiences with Nickelodeon?
I remember really some of the shows. I think really was when it came into play because I didn't really have cable TV for a lot of my life or whatever. So it was like Ren and Stimpy. I think when my oldest daughter, when she was probably around 10 or so, was Ren and Stimpy. We'd watch that together because it was weird as hell. It probably screwed her brain up, but it was perfect for me. Yeah, it was great, hilarious stuff. And then the middle daughter, when she was about that age, was Dora the Explorer and Blue's Clues. She would go nuts at the TV. The map, there's the map, or Swipers. He's hiding over there. Yeah, incredible.
Oh God, it's so fun watching them grow up. And that's part of watching this documentary. I thought the Orange Years kind of reminded me of growing up. We'll get to more Dark Side of the Stream next on 104.7 The Cave. 104.7 The Cave. Mike the Intern in the studio with Jay Stevens. It is Dark Side of the Stream today, discussing the Orange Years, the story about Nickelodeon's heyday. Now, early on, the child actors on the early shows didn't end up rich. Early Nickelodeon was so low budget and non-union, they did not get residuals, which you don't hear about these kids anymore. The only ones you hear about, unfortunately, the ones that have problems with the law.
No, or the good one. But I was amazed that Keenan, who's on Saturday Night Live was doing the same thing basically when he was a kid on those sketch shows, and now he's doing the same thing Saturday Night Live. He made out good, right? I think.
A few of them did. A few of them did. Some of them did not, but some of them definitely did. It's interesting. Another thing, I guess, when it comes to the slime, most of the kid actors early on, you can't do that on television, were complaining so much about getting slime that they ended up getting bonuses if they got slime. So it's like, you got slime, you got 25, 50
little
bucks.
Union, the kids formed little mercenaries.
Which is true. And I guess the key ingredients of that slime was cream of wheat, of course, green food coloring, Johnson's baby shampoo, vegetable oil, and sometimes they would throw cottage cheese in there.
That's getting nasty now. I like your face.
Oh, it's disgusting. That's disgusting. But yeah, it was really cool to kind of go through and relive some of these shows. Double Dare, which I loved. Legends of the Hidden Temple, which I always wanted to be a contestant on. I was like watching those kids be contestants. Like
that one game,
that Joker, I could do better than that.
That one game was cutting edge too, where they'd put the kids in video games, like green screen it, and they were like in video games. Amazing. For the times,
they were way ahead of their game, and
Ren and Stimpy log. I mean, I still wish we could buy a log,
dude. Yeah, don't whiz on the electric fence. Jay didn't learn that lesson.
Space Madness.
Oh yeah, Space Madness. Such good.
Something came out of my butt.
Okay, it's Dark Side of the Stream. Jay Stevens doing his best Ren and Stimpy impressions on 104.7 The Cave. 104.7 The Cave. Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens back in the studio, Dark Side of the Stream. We are finishing up our conversation on the Orange Years, the documentary about Nickelodeon's heyday.
I just came up with a brilliant idea, Mike.
What is it?
Well, with your Sasquatch looking look that you have today, your Sasquatch hunter look, why don't we start a podcast like pretending to be serious that we're like legit Sasquatch dudes, but the whole thing is just full of it.
Joke?
The whole thing is a joke, but nobody knows it's a joke.
I think it would get so popular that people would think we were
because we're in the area, right? I've heard stories about Ava. I've heard stories about Ava, the Sasquatch family that lives in Ava. We could start with that. Like, all right, we'll talk after this.
Ultimately, my fear is that it gets so serious and people like believe us. And then
because
they're like out there what do you need in a
good document?
You were just kidding.
What do you need in a good Bigfoot? You need like passionate dudes that are weird. That me and you could easily play that. I'll just put my hair out crazy and I'll look like I've been sleeping with Sasquatch.
Just to see that.
All right, we'll talk after
this. We'll talk after this. So how many buckets of slime would you give this documentary?
I'd give it 4 buckets of slime.
Yeah,
it was good. I learned something and it brought back some nostalgia and things that I've forgotten about, that I was like, I can't remember that. Hey dude and stuff like that. I can't remember seeing that on the TV.
It was nice to remember all the hours I wasted watching Nickelodeon as a child and to remember some of the stuff that I don't really remember that well and to see how much work went into creating arguably one of the greatest all children programs.
And a shout out to them for sticking true to protecting the kids and being just for kids.
Yeah.
It's hard to do that in the corporate world,
It's
when
very hard
people
to do
start
it.
trying to throw money at you.
Especially after that time when they basically were like, okay, you can advertise to kids now. It's cool. No big deal. Like,
Right.
they had a responsibility, and I think they did good. They were kind of on the fringes, some certain things
Some
like
stuff
Ren and
was cutting
Stimpy.
edge. It's good.
Give you a
Yeah, Ren and
little,
Stimpy was more for adults, if you ask me.
Sometimes
but
SpongeBob also
Yeah, and the
had some
dude-
very strange episodes that
the
were
dude wears underwear.
just like, this is for kids. But, ultimately they stayed the course for the most part. And without Nickelodeon, I probably wouldn't be, or at least have the same type of humor that I do
definitely.
so thank you for help shaping me, Nickelodeon. I appreciate that. Good, bad, or indifferent. Jay, it's your turn for the next week's Dark Side of the Stream. What do you want to hear?
You blindsided me
What are we
with
gonna do?
this. Well, I was going to pick one, but you said you wanted to pick that one, so I'm going to pick a
Either
different
one is fine. We know the next two are going to be.
Well, I know I've got more than that.
Okay, well, I know at least for me, I know what the next two
I'll
are
let
gonna
you
be.
have the ones that are musically legit.
Okay.
I'll take the oddball ones.
Okay.
I will go with, drum roll please, Heist on Netflix.
Okay, cool. I've been wanting to watch that one.
Very,
Cool.
very,
Sweet.
very good. They're little short ones, but man, some crazy stuff goes down.
All right. Well, I look forward to watching Heist.
What does it feel like to steal $100 million? These guys will tell you straight from their mouths.
I can't wait to hear it. As always, download this podcast on our 104.7 The Cave app or wherever you get your podcasts at. And you can always watch it live on Facebook every Thursday. This is Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7
And watch out for our new Sasquatch podcast.